The scariest new car features of 2025. Jeep pop-up ads. Jeep really just dropped the worst feature of the century with this one. So despite many states making it illegal to text and drive, even when the vehicle is fully stopped at a traffic light, Jeep has the audacity to show pop-up ads on their center console during these stops. A perfect example of rules for thee, but not rules for me. Punishing everyday individuals for distracted driving? Absolutely. Punishing a company for encouraging distracted driving? Crickets. This is the most dystopian corporate cyberpunk shit I've ever seen. Like, I'm actually shocked that this exists in real life. I'm still blinking twice from it, that I have to wake up into this hyper-consumerism reality that we're currently headed towards. Humankind could have gone to Mars or fully explored the depths of the ocean by now, but instead humanity chose to spend every single ounce of their talent into making as many ways as possible to shovel ads down our throats. Cars used to be like our sacred temple, an escape from the world. You could play some music, hit the road, wind down after a long day of work. Too bad, because now you gotta watch your car play some ads to you while you're trying to focus on when the light's about to turn green. Like, imagine trying to route to the nearest gas station in the middle of a road trip, but your Jeep decides now is a good time to show you an ad instead, since that's clearly more important than you getting stranded in the middle of nowhere. Usually I hate government regulation, but legit, without more laws banning this stupid garbage, corporate greed will go unchecked. For example, remember when a couple years ago BMW tried to charge a monthly subscription service to use parts that were already installed on the car? Like literally swiping your credit card just to use your heated seats? Yeah, well, many countries quickly enacted laws against that predatory practice, and BMW rolled back future plans regarding those subscription models. Like, dude, why does everything need to be a monthly subscription or live service feature now? Like, our phone bills and insurance weren't already enough to deal with monthly. Now we have every video game, streaming service, and now our freaking car infotainment system also evolving into live service subscription models. Like, I know there's some corporate bootlicker who's going to say that I'm blowing everything way out of proportion and blah blah blah, it's mostly to advertise extended warranty features, but again, why am I not allowed to use any other electronic device at a stoplight even when stopped, but a company can forcibly play ads? It doesn't matter what kind of ads it is. It doesn't matter if it's extended warranty ads or Jeep related ads. If it's any ad, if you give them an inch, they will take the mile. That is the point I'm making. If we allow them to do even this, what precedent will that set in the future? Eventually they will start to play all kinds of advertisements, and your Jeep will become a driving advertisement, and so will every other car when other companies realize they can get away with this too. That is what I'm very, very against. And seeing how a lot of things in my life have snowballed and gone down that slippery slope of more ads, more ads, more ads, I think the bootlickers should take a big L on this one, because I absolutely think, just like with the BMW subscription model, we need to make noise and we need to get regulators and lawmakers to basically ban this stupidity. Because if we don't ban it, then next thing you know, we're gonna start to have companies push us a no ads version of our center console, like a no ads trim of the vehicle you're buying. That is so silly just saying that aloud, but we will genuinely have to deal with that if we don't put a stop to this. Speaking of annoying center consoles, another new feature I really hate are touchscreen climate controls. Why do companies insist on burying AC and heat settings or anything else that must be frequently adjusted behind a touchscreen? It's often far more annoying to change the climate control in a touchscreen car compared to just a dial like the previous generation of cars. This is because you have to go through multiple layers of BS to even reach the climate control setting, all while having to deal with laggy, non-responsive screens that, worst of all, are causing you to take your eyes off the road, because you have to actually look at what you're hitting, since unlike a dial or a button or a knob, there's no tactile feel and there aren't those little clickety clicks that actually latch into place. So, like, you know what I'm talking about. You can literally remember exactly how many turns you have to make to get the AC to the setting you want. Same thing with the up and down arrows. Very intuitive. Just push it once to go up one, push it down to go down one, push it twice, push it 5 times. You get the point. You get exactly what you need and you can develop the muscle memory for it. The problem with these touchscreens is, like, you'll push it 3 times sometimes and it won't even register a single input, so you're just there smacking it. I guess the point I really want to make is, if touchscreens are so good, then why are video game controllers still featuring analog control sticks as well as literal buttons? If touchscreens are so good, why do I adjust my thermostat by spinning a dial? Or for most people, they still are the traditional up and down arrow buttons. Why didn't all these become touchscreens instead? Well, the obvious answer is because it sucks. Anyone who's ever tried using a touchscreen analog control stick will infinitely infinitely hate it more than a physical one. Even the super flat one that exists on a Nintendo 3DS is still ages ahead in usability and just user input and actual feedback compared to the flat touchscreen. There are genuinely some things that are just better as a physical analog product. It does not need to become this digital, lifeless LED screen. Sure, some bootlicker will defend this yet again, saying, yeah, well, it's just a few more seconds. Need I remind you that every single second you spend distracted is that much more dangerous to the driver. If you are driving 70 miles an hour down a freeway, you're actually moving 100 feet per second. So if you spend 5 seconds digging through your garbage touchscreen, you are now 500 feet ahead of where you once were, but you didn't see anything during that 500 feet of space. That is more than enough time to make an error. A screen should only be used for things that are seldomly adjusted, like your GPS, for example. You usually only set your GPS destination at the beginning of your journey or whenever you're checking your progress while refilling at a gas station. That's how screens should function. It should be a set it and forget it, and only something that you glance briefly at. It shouldn't force people to dig through them to reach key features of the car, like adjusting climate controls, adjusting heated seats. Some cars are super masochistic where even just adjusting your seating position and obviously changing your car's driving modes and blah 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 blah. I prefer those to be dials too, where you just literally shift your lever down into sport, or more importantly, like with my Corvette, it was just like you turn a knob into touring mode, sport mode, track mode. I generally think companies are only doing this to save themselves more money. It's significantly easier to just throw one stupid touchscreen into the car and engineer horrible software for it that's cheap and laggy than it is to actually design a beautiful center console that has elegantly sculpted buttons and dials paired with a nice GPS touchscreen. That costs too much for them. That's why they just put these super ugly, super massive big screens and then just say future and then think that we're gonna be stupid enough to think it's better. The point is, they're not doing this because it's better for us. They're doing it because it's better for them. It saves them money while being extra dangerous to us. The third thing I really hate are these stupid steering wheel shapes. Why are we literally trying to reinvent the wheel here? Like, I get some super low sports cars, it's okay to have flat bottom wheels or rounded rectangles like the Squircle and the Corvette C8, because those have actually been around for several decades now in race cars and other supercars, and it's okay for sports cars to have them now too. Those designs are at least still a completed shape, and they actually do serve a purpose. The bottom is flat to allow for more knee clearance for taller drivers when they're sitting in these smaller sports cars, and the top is usually flat for more visibility because, again, a lot of sports cars and supercars have really angular, really small windshields. Therefore, any bit of visibility helps, so it's better to make the steering wheel not curved at the top because that can eat away some visibility. My actual problem is I don't get why we're putting aviation-inspired steering controls into cars. Cars don't ascend or descend. Well, not usually. However, cars do frequently need hand over hand in order to make fast inputs, especially when doing low-speed maneuvers like U-turning, hairpin corners, or just parking efficiently. The complete lack of a top or bottom part makes tight maneuvers difficult and can even make certain emergency situations where you may need more leverage on the steering wheel dangerous. Even on relaxed highway drives, the most boring non-car person ever is still pretty upset when they can't just rest one hand on the middle like every middle-aged dad does on every road trip ever. You know exactly what steering wheel position I'm talking about. Still, this is actually a valid point because amongst all the other issues that I brought up, like low speed handling, emergency situations, and now even just relaxed situations, this just never made sense to be on cars. This was such a bad feature that even Tesla themselves no longer makes it mandatory to put up with these, and they will now, without extra cost, allow you to option a normal steering wheel again. This is one of the few times where even the bootlickers refuse to lick the boots of the company they worshipped. However, unfortunately, because Tesla still did it, a lot of other car companies obviously point at it and go, we're gonna do that too now. So they bring it up in their next boardroom meetings, and what do you know, somehow these designs make it onto their normal freaking cars, like a Lexus. Seriously, why do you need this on a Lexus? This car doesn't even need a Squircle design, much less a Yoke design, and it just... Look, I think it'll still be a bit before we see this get phased out. Hopefully, just like some of the weirder steering wheel designs in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, this will just be a footnote in the grand history of cars where it doesn't actually stick around, just like how none of those designs stuck around. Total clown behavior, the whole circus even, if you will. So the final thing that I really hate about new cars is actually not one specific feature, but rather the result of adding too many useless features into modern cars. And that is that cars are just getting way too heavy. Like when I was watching one of the most recent Fortnite videos, Fortnite, not Night. Each time I say his channel name, I occasionally get people in the comments like, what does Fortnite have to do with cars and motorcycles? Fortnite on F9's channel when they were reviewing the Goldwing, I was actually shocked to hear them say a line saying, this Goldwing has the same power to weight ratio as the new Acura NSX. Why are cars so heavy now? Again, 10 to 15 years ago, touring motorcycles had the same power to weight as touring cars. A sports car used to have a similar power to weight to most sports bikes. A sedan had similar power to weight to a standard bike, super sports, supercars, so on. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. The other reason I'm really upset about cars getting heavier is that it's really frustrating in the sense that it's stagnated MPG, because ever since the early 2000s, all my life, I swear every car commercial has said, this car gets 30 to 35 MPG, and that number is just flatlined. Like, MPG is absolutely stagnated from my life. Car engines, even though they have gotten more efficient, cars themselves can't stop packing on the pounds, so all this added engine efficiency is essentially equalized by the added weight, and everyone gets a whopping gain of nothing. In most cases, we've actually gone backwards. Most sedans now weigh 4,000 or even 4,500 pounds, and even performance cars are becoming really heavy, being 3,600 pounds all day, every day. That is insane. Anyways, those are new car features I hate, but what are some features that you hate from new cars? Comment it down below, but before you leave too many suggestions, make sure to check out my other videos on this topic, because chances are I've probably covered some of your suggestions in previous videos. So subscribe for more automotive content, like this video if you like it, share it with your friends, and thank you so much for watching. Bladed Angel out.